Are we a victim or co-creator of energies? An article by Jona Bryndis. What it means to be energetically sensitive from an energy healer's perspective. As energetically sensitive, formerly classified as highly sensitive person, it is aware to us how interactions in the physical or emotional can have instantaneous consequences for our energy household. There are people, places that can drain us to the core. And then there are situations where we seem to have unlimited energy reserves. If we experience these effects particularly strong through emotions from others, we typically identify ourselves as empath. All empaths are energetically sensitives, but not all energetically sensitives are empaths. A tiny distinction. But being energetically sensitive doesn't mean that we are better. It just means that we perceive the world through an extra sense, like seeing things through new glasses. Being empathic also doesn't mean that we're better at processing our emotions. It just means that we're more tuned into perceiving emotions. So in the end, being an empath or energetically sensitive is merely a label. But what connects us in our divergence is the fact that we can experience ourselves and others through our energetic or extrasensory rather than just through our 5 physical, emotional, and mental senses. This is the hallmark of energetic perceptivity, and often, due to the questions that arise in us, the beginning of an expanding consciousness. Looking at the larger picture, it can't be a coincidence that more and more people are waking up to their inner ability to pick up on energies around them. My estimate, observing and working with energetically sensitive individuals from all over the world for the past 15 years, is that our group is making up roughly 12 to 15% of the population and growing. That is, in first world countries due to their excess free time available to their population. Being energetically sensitive means we are frequently experiencing the effects or have glimpses of unseen energies. These energetic perceptions include hunches, feelings, dreams, visions, precognitions, and recognizing synchronicities, glitches in the matrix, and sometimes even seeing things out of the corner of our eyes. For most of us, these feelings are physical or visual in nature, which can be quite disturbing or inopportune at times. According to my observation, females tend to be more on the tactile visual side of energetic perception, whereas males perceive more in a visual tactile way. This in itself can be a major stumbling block for communicating or talking about our perceptions with our partners, friends, or family. Finding the right words to express what we're feeling can be part of the main challenge in our life. But here in this article, I would like to focus on the self-mastery aspect and refer you to the relationship articles instead. Recognizing that there is more to interactions than words or deeds changes the way we see the world and ourselves. It allows us to look at the hidden aspects of people. But becoming aware of the unconscious stuff others put out also forces us to reflect on our own projections. Realizing how negative or controlling our own thoughts and energies sometimes are can be quite shocking. It is why we all try to keep them hidden in the first place. Energetic sensitivity brings those out into the open and highlights them. It makes all those hidden aspects of communication and interaction visible for us, which in return forces us to change our own behaviors and find new ways of interacting with others. That is, if we can find people who are willing to be as self-honest as we want to be. Finding the right people, friends, communities, coaches, or therapists that don't label us as woo-woo is where the majority of our problems are. Being a person who seeks to understand the deeper aspects of purpose and meaning in life can be tough in the wake of a materialistic, power and profit-driven world that seems to be run by truth-distorting media, corporations, and narcissistic leaders and celebrities. Where can we find answers that help us to better understand what we're perceiving other than doomsday preachers, cabal conspiracies, or alien invasion theories? Really, does being energetically sensitive mean that we have to turn to gurus, channelers, or deceased grandmasters? Or is there another way? Dealing with energies means having no proof for what we are experiencing. And while most people, when asked, confirm the effects of unseen energies on themselves in general, like weather, vibes, group energies, chemistry with a person, premonitions, or full moon energies, astrology, personality types, and even karma to a certain degree, energies still seem to be somewhat spooky for most people. This is why we seek refuge in spiritual groups, read so much, and attend workshops. Because without some kind of spiritual concept, none of what we're experiencing makes any sense to ourselves and others. But there is another problem. Modern esoteric and New Age groups tend to contextualize energetic sensitivity as a free ticket to justified victimization or spiritual specialness, often deepening the powerlessness and separation energetically sensitives feel. Their inexplicable focus on above what we can understand can deceive a person into spiritual bypassing and passivity. It enables the delusion that refusing to participate in the pragmatism of 3D functioning is so spiritual, often to the expense of the person's ability to trust in themselves and be self-responsible, let alone to form healthy boundaries, relationships, and careers. Churches, as designated authorities in spiritual matters, often either generalize energetic perceptivity as spiritual confusion or answer our questions with an externalized just trust in our word, book, or testimony. And just as externalized are the views of modern sciences. They reduce truth to the objective material and reject our energetic perceptivity as non-existence due to its subjectiveness. Psychology as a means to better understanding energetic sensitivity is also limited. While it recognizes empathy as an important human skill, it often minimizes energetic sensitivity as hypervigilant, anxious, depressed, or worse, schizotypal, which is why many of us rather shy away from seeking a mental health counselor or psychologist for answers. Don't get me wrong, there are some therapists, pastors, and other energy healers out there that are trying to build a bridge for us energetically sensitives, but they're difficult to find. More often than not, we end up feeling that there is something wrong with us, which also exasperates powerlessness. If our life story filled with not fitting in, not being able to perform, and not belonging hasn't already given us reason to believe that we are not fit for this life, numbing or rejecting our perceptivity is often the only way out. If that isn't enough, addictions seem to be quite prevalent in our demographic. But the problem for many is that the misuse of plant medicines as a way to either numb or intensify our perceptivity isn't working either. While some consciousness-altering plant medicines consumed in their intended ceremonial settings can help to kickstart the trust in our own perception, their long-term use is not feasible. Latest attempts of psychology to use MDMA, psilocybin, or mescaline therapies in clinical settings are promising, as they at least acknowledge the presence of something like consciousness and self-healing. but they still tend to categorize us as paranoid, delusional, suffering from trauma, or personality disorders. My interdisciplinary research in science, metaphysics, esoterics, system science, and psychology over the years has shown me that the closest to what could help us find answers and deliver something like systematic instructions can be found in philosophy, epistemology, and especially anthroposophy. The deeper study of Aristotle and Socrates, Kant, Hegel, Goethe, Jung, Steiner, and Hawkins, and others can give us very clear illumination of what the problem is, namely our unawareness and how we are thinking, feeling, choosing, and acting in the first place. Wouldn't it make sense to investigate how perceptions in general work, how the ego works, and how our consciousness forms, with Dr. Rudolf Steiner and his scientific treatment of energetic perceptivity and epistemology, Dr. Hawkins' work on consciousness development, and Dr. Carl Jung's psychological contextualization of ego and perception, I found a very inclusive, valid, and systematic foundation for teaching about energetic perceptivity, without needing to exclude either science, spirituality, faith, psychology, or even esoterics. Their foundational work taught me that being energetically sensitive doesn't mean that we are a victim of energies. While what we're perceiving may be influenced by psychosomatics or our own ego psyche, it has purpose. It provides us with additional feedback that, if we can learn to harness and trust in it, can help us to grow our consciousness level. The way to find answers without labeling our energetic sensitivity as a mental health issue or being emotionally unstable is the earnest self-investigation of where our inner signals, questions, thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and choices arise, and how we form our worldview that determines the framework for which reality we are choosing on a day-to-day basis. Are we choosing the material reality, random, external, and objective only? Are we choosing the etheric reality, predestined, internal, and subjective only? Or the third option, the more holistic, material, and etheric reality? In my conclusion, energetic sensitivity and perceptivity arise as an impulse originating in our own consciousness. To me, this means that the answers we're looking for must be found there as well. The obvious solution to our synchronization problems is in exploring what these powers and advantages of having energetic sensitivity and perceptivity could be. I see our energetic sensitivity as an additional skill that helps us to self-heal and grow our overall awareness, connectedness, and psychological, physical, and emotional fitness to understand a more and more complex world. After all, one of the coolest aspects of our energy body is the ability to pick up on what is conducive and non-conducive for us, which is in fact the ability to discern which people, food, exercises, jobs, or places are good for us. It can help us understand ourselves better, our needs, our wants, and values, so that we can form a more authentic life for ourselves. But first and foremost, it's important to remember that if our inner energy says nope, it probably means that there's something in us that tries to tell us something. This something is typically what has been blocking our emotional truth from being aware to us and agreeing to toxic relationships, jobs, and places. So all in all, energetic sensitivity is a tool, a new roadmap for navigating through life with or without approval from others. It strengthens our sense of self and helps us to live a life knowing that our own energy is there to support us. The crux of or with our energetic sensitivity is that it doesn't exactly come with an instruction manual. Just because we can pick up on things doesn't necessarily mean that they weren't there before, or that we're automatically making better choices, for that matter. We still have to learn to harness our perceptivity and train it as if we're learning a new language. Harnessing the unseen dynamics that happen in interaction with others and the world at large, without feeling victimized, often remains a big riddle for us. Without understanding the purpose, more often than not, we give up and retreat into a seemingly safe space of isolation. If this resonates with you, I want you to know that you may be missing out on one of the biggest powers you have. Isolation is not an answer. The world isn't bad just because you can feel it more now. The world has always been a place of challenges and opportunities, and from science we know that continuous, moderate adversity is what forms resiliency and ultimately happiness and inner peace in us. You still think having consciousness and energetic perception is a random phenomenon? And for no reason? Think again. Why would evolution or source, divine God, think up something so elaborate and beyond intelligent as being able to witness one's own psyche, if it wasn't for an evolutionary advantage or purpose? No. There is a reason why we're developing energetic sensitivity, and that is to grow into our higher functioning of being human, namely our higher consciousness. Staying limited to our pre-programmed ego perception, which functions on the basis of instincts, desires, habits, avoidance, and filters, blocks the pathway to a higher consciousness as humans. Energetic perceptivity allows us to witness our 3D and energetic self, the spirit being in us, which can provide us with information beyond our instinctual, sensational, drive-oriented, and psychological conditioning. It provides us with tools to overcome fear and adversity and to grow into our higher purpose, namely to co-create our collective reality. It gives us answers that help us to better understand all the craziness and untruth that we are currently experiencing, and helps us to see beyond our own pain and fear of the unknown. Consciousness is what differentiates us from all other beings on this planet, and energetic sensitivity, and consequently energetic perception, is what gives us access to our higher purpose beyond this particular life experience. It's what connects us with our soul's plan and evolution as spirit being. And lastly, it explains to us how we are manifesting our own reality. Feeling like a victim of energy blocks this awareness and makes us miss out on this extraordinary opportunity to physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually mature. If we are not aware of what we are manifesting and how, we are victims of our ego, not our energy. Thank you for reading Jona Bryndis. Jona Bryndis is an energy healer, coach, and visionary, and founder of transCODES Energy Healing. transCODES offers a variety of energy coaching and training modalities. If you're interested in my weekly energy updates and energy talks, or want to learn more about my energy awareness training classes, energetics of relationships, or for personal energy coaching sessions, go to transcodes.com.